Hello, I'm going to be reviewing the Oculus Go as promised. So, I purchased the Oculus Go approximately 5 months ago, and I had the choice between the 32 gigabyte unit and the 64, and I selected the 64 gigabyte unit. And that's because in the past I've purchased items and basically ran out of space and regretted not getting the higher storage space unit. So this time I just went ahead and got the more expensive unit. It was only a $50 difference. So at the time it was $199 for the Oculus Go 32, and it was $249 for the 64 Oculus Go. So this is the box. It's not in the box any longer, and I'll explain that in a moment. But this is what the box looked like. There would have been the unit, and then the instructions and the other accessories. This is what it came with: was the headset, the controller, the lanyard, eyeglass spacer, charging cable, AA battery, and a lens cloth. So I took the instructions out and stuff like that at the time. But it does require, I should show, it does require, and it showed this here, to have a phone to set it up. After you set it up the first time with a phone, you don't really need the phone anymore, but I continue to use the phone sometimes because it gives me notifications and stuff. So pretty quickly off the bat, I realized, because it's a unit that you can take with you places, like let's say I want to go downstairs or I want to go out and I want to use it. Because it's portable, this box is not ideal to port it around. You know, it just isn't. So I wish they would have either provided a case or have an official case, which they don't as far as I'm aware. So on Amazon I purchased a case. I'll put a link in the description as to the maker of the case. It's pretty much a case that almost any virtual reality glasses could go into. So I purchased the case just so I could port it around, because it has a, it has a handle, and it's relatively tough, good material. And this one rated relatively well. So I put the glasses and the other components into the case. The unit looks like this. And I'm going to talk about the other stuff first before I go over the unit. So we're going to take the unit out and get the controller. And it's got the lanyard on it, just so if the days of the Wii when people would throw them and they needed to get the handle, the lanyard on it, so that didn't happen. So all I've got in here is the controller, the cloth, the cable, and this actually goes to the back of this, and I'll explain why that's not attached to the back of this in a moment. So the cable I actually don't use, and I just keep it, just in case there's a backup. I actually have a much longer cable I've gotten that's like a 15-foot cable. That goes to my power block, and I also can put it into any USB unit. Basically, it's just a USB end, and it's a micro SD for this side, and that goes into the side here. And you can also plug in a mic if you want. So it plugs in there. Yeah, make sure I got it right. And then you get about an hour and a half of time that it'll work, which, that's why I have the longer cable, because an hour and a half doesn't get you a full movie. It's not long enough, and so I just keep it charged when I'm watching something or know I'm going to be using it longer, and that it would run out of charge otherwise. This part here actually goes from the back of this. There's a part here to here, threaded through here, to keep it on your head tightly. The problem is it keeps it on my head so tightly that it keeps trying to slip it off, and so it actually was very uncomfortable, and so I took that off, and I never ever use it. This is just a regular cleansing lens cloth, and then the controller. I'll show the controller in a moment. I want to talk about the eyeglass spacer. I'm not going to pull this apart to show, but there's a spacer here that if you have glasses like I do, and I'm nearsighted, it makes it at a distance to where you can wear your glasses comfortably, and the lenses go over that. So I did use the spacer. If you're not nearsighted with glasses, you probably don't need it. It just would be in a field of vision that would be difficult for me to see otherwise. And I'm not certain with my glasses off if it would work, because the distance, if it would look right or not. Okay, so next we have the controller. The controller is relatively simple. They do have a benefit with the Oculus that you can add an Xbox controller. I don't know what other kinds of controllers you can add, but I have an Xbox, so you can actually pair an Xbox controller with it. But if you are just doing it, watching a movie or using just a relatively comfortable, simple game, this should be sufficient. This button takes you to the home screen, pops up the navigation, recenters it. So if you hold down on it, it'll recenter to make sure, if for some reason the controller's pointing a direction it shouldn't be. This is the back button. This part here allows you to scroll back and forth and up and down, and this is like a selection button. So it's a relatively simple controller. I haven't found most things needing any controls more advanced than this has for most of the games, because I really haven't used any high intensity games at this point. I want to talk about some of the pros and cons of the device. So one of the big pros of it are that it's portable. I like that. I don't have to, have it connected to a computer. I'm not so picky on the VR experience, because I haven't experienced the higher level ones maybe, but I'm pretty happy with the VR experience that I'm getting and the portability that this allows me to have. I do wish the battery would last longer. If it lasted like 5 hours, that would be great. I haven't found it to last that long though. I mean, like I said, an hour and a half is about the most that I'm getting. But it is great that it's portable. I do think the price point was excellent. I think that it's one of the best $250 I've ever spent in my life. What it gives me for the amount of money that was spent is amazing. And what it is giving me is basically the ability. So I'm here in a room. It's kind of a little messy right now because of the holidays and everything. But I'm here in a room with a big TV on it that you can watch movies on. This is in the house that I rent a room at. But this really, really nice room that you can watch movies on, and it's a big screen. And that's great. But in this device here, I actually can do that. And it's a bigger screen. And yeah, I can't share popcorn with somebody else unless they also had one. But you could watch the same movie and everything together with friends using these. And you don't have to have the space or the money to spend on a big screen TV like that. I'm never going to buy a large TV ever again because of this device. So I've already cut my cost right there because I don't need that. And the resolution is sufficient for me. As I said, the higher level units probably have even greater graphics, but this one is just as good with my vision level as I could see on my TV that I have now. I believe it's supposed to be 4K. If it's not, it looks good enough to me to be 4K. And so that is a big pro. It does have a lot of apps you can get them on an app store. It's very similar to the app stores that you're familiar with, for other components. So Oculus, I'll go out of it here a second so that you can see what the icon looks like. So we got here Oculus, and it's got a store, and you'll get notifications too about sales that are going on, deals, stuff like that, events as well. So you can get items on a store. It does show my library now. I wish the library were, it says recent, but it actually shows some things that aren't as recent as the most recently purchased. So the sorting could be done better, but it's got a whole slew of items, and includes like Hulu, which you probably can't see too easily because of the glare off the screen, but Hulu and Amazon. Sorry, not Amazon. It is Hulu, and it has YouTube VR, which is virtual reality. YouTube. It's got Facebook, obviously. It also has things like Sling, pretty much, like Netflix and most of the apps that you would expect. Now, one of the cons are that it doesn't have everything that you would like to have, and that includes YouTube TV. That is not there. Amazon Instant is not there. Those two. There is a benefit, though, that it has a browser, and the browser can switch between desktop and app mode. And in desktop mode, most of these things aren't available, but in app mode, you can get Amazon Instant working, and you can also get YouTube TV working in I think it's app mode. And so you can switch between app and desktop mode. Or maybe it's desktop mode. I'm sorry, it's been a month since I've used it. But it's a convoluted process to get to using them in the browser. You basically have to go to the site, log in, and navigate. And it isn't the best in the world. I would like to see Amazon Instant and YouTube TV available as apps on the App Store for Facebook. But I'm going to imagine that eventually that will happen, at least for possibly YouTube TV. Maybe not with Amazon Instant. I mean, they are competitors, but I mean, they have YouTube VR, so they have a recognition they need to provide more YouTube. They need to provide some kind of YouTube support, and YouTube TV is probably the best of the, in my opinion, the best of the available, internet TV options. I can't really think of any other cons besides the missing apps. The fact that you have to go through a browser to get them. At least there is a workaround. Some other devices do not have workarounds like that. A lot of people might want to wait for the Oculus. I can't think of what it's going to be called. I'll put that in the description as well. But the Oculus product that Facebook is going to offer, that is the bridge between the Oculus Go and the Rift. Now, it's going to cost more than the Go does, and I expect the Go to keep going down in price. It's well worth the price, in my opinion, though. I enjoy watching movies on it. I enjoy the TV, the size of the TV that I can see. I enjoy the games that I've gotten to play. They have some, like Blue from Jurassic World, that's like a cinematic experience to see like you are Blue, or you're experiencing what Blue does. Wands is a good game where you can learn to wield a wand and play against other people, so you can feel like you're kind of like a Harry Potter type thing. And I think the best games that I've dealt with on the Oculus were those games that were either horror games, because it's really, really good. The VR experience gives you a good fright, or the ones that have to do with space. Like there's some space exploration ones and space. I haven't tried the roller coaster one. I think it's Rilix or something like that. I'll put a list of the various games that I have installed, which is going to make it quite a long list, in the description if possible, or at least some of the more major ones, just to get an idea. A lot of the games are very inexpensive. They're either free or they're anywhere from like $1 to $5. I usually wait until they go on sale. One game I have not gotten, which is highly recommended, it's called Virtual Reality, and that one usually is at $10 to $15, and I just haven't felt that I wanted to pay that kind of price, and I'd like to see it get down to like $5. Anyway, so I highly recommend the Oculus Go. It's a great machine for a great price. Thank you, and you have a good new year.